Stock model operations, transforming around a tombstone on a 4-axis horizontal. This was a bit tricky for me to figure out. Goes along with this PDF that I put up a couple weeks ago. And if you get into this, download it. There's 3 links here. These 3 videos on the links were actually very helpful for me to get into the area to where I could begin to mess with this stuff. So check out the links, download the PDF, download the Mastercam content file. It's on my website. It's on eMastercam. I'll put links, and you can kind of step through it and do it on your own, and hopefully get a better understanding of how this stuff works out. So the big thing that we want here is we want to have stock models that are going to be live, they're going to update, and they're going to move around the part the way that we have it oriented on the 4-axis. So we're going to take a look at how do we start with these and how do we get them moved around, okay? Couple things. We need to have some organization. Big fan of organization. WCS, top, top, top. C-plane, T-plane, everything top. We're going to have levels clearly defined, op1, op2, op3, op4. I have a part we're going to machine, and then we have solid models. If you were just going to make stock in the old days, you know, you would maybe put some solid models around the part, have an idea of what your stock looks like. I just started with one solid model and moved it around the part, but this kind of helps us see where our stock models are going to come from, because I've got planes associated with this stuff, okay? So we've got a folder that's just stock model planes. You're going to have machining tool planes, you know, so you get the right B or A orientation output in the post when you do different operations around the part. But these stock model planes, you know, we start off with top, top, top. That's where everything is going to come from. So this will be our first model, and then we have other ones. Let's say op1. So this is gonna be our base corner, if you want to call it that. So we rotate up, translate to here for op1. Op2, where's that corner at? It's right here. Okay. Whoops, selected some stuff. Op3, now it's rotated over here, and I just put this notch on the part so you can kind of follow this around a little bit. And op4. So this corner is going to remain the same the whole way around. So it's basically going to be an incremental flip. So if you look at where these corners are, where's our stock model going to be? Okay, here's our first stock model. We got to go to translucent here because we got a whole bunch of stuff stuck together. So there's our first stock model. We start, we do some machining, and there's our part. Then we do some, then we're going to flip it to here. So we've got a stock model over here. And we're going to do some machining. You can see it inside there a little bit. Let's go to op3, different stock model, do some machining, go to op4, and then we're going to finish the part, okay? So with these solid models on, it's kind of easy to see where that corner is staying every time we rotate position, right? So let's get rid of these models, stock. All right, so now we're just left with our first stock, okay? And then we've got stock model, stock model, stock model, stock model, stock model. See how this changes and it's live? You can see everything. And the nice thing is you can go to the end and you can look at the part and the stock model. You know, if the part model doesn't match the stock model, then you missed something somewhere. So that's just really handy about doing this. So back to the beginning, top, top, top. Okay. So let's look at this. Here's our first operation, right? Stock model. So we start with a piece of stock, and this is kind of arbitrary, right? So maybe you bring in your part model and you've got to build it, but this is what you start with. Maybe you've got a part and you create your stock and you think, okay, well, this is the stock I'm going to start with. Where you go from here is kind of up to you, but what I did was I started down here. I just wanted to move things so that I had a corner that was clearly oriented on my stock, so that I'm top, and this corner is now the base corner for all of my stock model operations. So I just have a solid stock model and I have a part inside it. And I'm going to start from here. So the first thing that I do is this stock model operation. This is my first stock model operation. I want everything to be top. So when I create this one, my initial stock shape is going to be a model, and it's going to be this model here. Okay, this is the model that we're using. So I select that. Stock plane is top. So basically all it's doing is creating a stock model operation that is just this model. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. We need to move that up to where we're going to start with. Okay, so here's our tombstone. This is where our first operation is going to be, and we need to get that part up there. So I'll look at the corner. Here's my base corner. We need to get that corner up here. So I've created a new plane that rotates and translates this corner up to this point in space, because that's where I've determined it's going to be. It's arbitrary. It's however your fixturing works out. So this is where mine is going to be. So now I've got 4 ops. I kind of start this out to where stock setup is just like, it's a separate, toolpath group, if you will. I just do that because if I want to verify something, I can pick this op1 group, op2 group, and then you can verify the whole thing. And it uses the stock model there, so it's pretty sweet. But anyhow, first stock model. What is it? We're starting off with the initial stock shape is stock model 00. That's this. Remember? Right over here, we made stock model 00. So that's our beginning stock. And we have no operations. All we did was move it, and we moved it to op1 stock model plane. Okay, so this is the plane that I have. And now we're just moving the model from top to the op1 stock model plane. So what I was able to find out was, this was kind of the key. When you pick that plane, it's teleporting your stock model based on its previous location. And the easiest way I could get this to work was by creating this base model here, top. I tried a bunch of other things that just didn't work out. So once this worked out, then the rest of it was, it kind of made sense. All right. So if we look at this base corner, and we're going to do some machining, and then my part is going to be different, right? Okay. So this stock model, my op1 finished one, is going to be initial stock shape. It's going to be the one that we started with, this 1.1. And source operations, it's just going to be the facing and the contour. And now I end up with this. Okay, so how are we going to get this over here? Well, you can see this little boss is now going to be facing this face of the tombstone. So it looks like, if we look down from the top, we've got to rotate this coordinate system. And that's exactly what we're going to do to get this plane. See? All we did was rotate this clockwise 90 degrees. Okay? So when we get over to here, where's my stock model? Boom. Okay? See how we just rotated 90 degrees? So we got this finished stock model. And now we need to get it over to here. So all we're going to do is anytime you move, you're just moving a stock model, you're not going to have any source operations. You're just going to move it. Your initial shape is going to be the previous one. So this is going to be the 1.2 that we finished op 1 with. And then we have a new stock model plane, which is going to be this new plane over here. All it's doing is it's picking up this finished model, and it's taken the corner that we defined here, and it's repositioning it to the corner we're calling up over here, and that's our new spot. Same thing, and I just found this works easier to have a finished machine stock model and then just a transform operation. Don't try to do them at the same time. So have a finished one here and then a transform one to begin your next op. And I found out that this just works smooth. And then whenever you go to, like, if you can just click the op whenever you go to verify it, and it's going to pull in that stock model. Let me bring this over here. There's so much visible that we don't need to have on the screen. Wireframes we don't need, but here's the stock model, and we just run through the operations, blah, blah, blah. Let's speederize that. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right, so there's our part. And then it's the same thing. If I want to do op 2, it just automatic. It's going to grab that stock. So you don't have to, whoops, clicky too much. You don't have to have a whole bunch of different, where you have to like go back in and select your stock. If it's a different model or something, it's nice and clean and quick. And I don't even remember what I'm doing in drilling, I guess. I don't know. But when you have your stock models laid out this way, then you can just click on that whole toolpath group and hit verify, and it pulls everything in the way you need it. So let's just finish this up here. We started with this one for op 2, and then we got a bunch of operations. So then we got to have a finished one, right? So that's our finished model. Let's get rid of some of these. I want to look at too many WCSs at the same time, but here we're displaying. So we need our finished one, right? We need our finished stock model for op 2. So the initial stock shape, and I just label these like op 2. So my starting one is 2.1, my finish is 2.2. Op 3, start 3.1, finish 3.2. You can number them however you want. This just kind of makes sense to me, so that's the way I go. So I know that my initial shape is going to be stock model 2.1, and my finish shape is going to be 2.2. My finished one, that's where I select my source operations, and then my finished model is going to be whatever I machine. And again, we have a finished stock model. So to go to op 3, we're not going to have any source operations, so this will all be empty. We're going to start with our 2.2 model, the finished one, and we're going to make a 3.1 model. All we're doing is picking a plane, right? So all we're doing is picking the new plane that we're moving to. So here's 2 and 3. We have, hold on, we got too many things that we're looking at. All right. So 2, finished, right? So there's our 2, and we're moving to 3. So we're going to spin it around and come over here. So that's all we're doing is you're starting somewhere and you're going somewhere. And basically all of these planes are incremental moves. And it's handy if you have a stock model and you flip it around, then you can use that corner whenever you're looking at where your planes want to be. But I just have a folder that's just for stock model planes, and all it's for is basically moving those stock model operations around so that you can see what you're working on. Okay, bye.